Hey everybody, this is the Mastering Local Marketing Podcast. You can get it on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also go to WJOB 1230 or anywhere on YouTube and just type in Mastering Local Marketing and you'll be able to get on it. We actually record it live on the radio, on my radio stations, AM 1230 and 1047, and we also do it live on YouTube, and you can certainly go get it there. But it's all about talking to you in the small to medium business with the digital marketing guru. He's a PNW professor, a Purdue Northwest professor, and well known in the field, and really kind of got going in digital marketing before it was really a thing in the late 90s. So you got a lot of mistakes under his belt that he can relate to you. This is episode 108. We're going to talk about really what you in the end or after, and that is growth for your small business. Doesn't happen by accident. Too many small businesses chase tactics without building a solid marketing plan. Here in this episode 108, we break down what sustainable business growth looks like and how local business owners can move beyond short-term wins with effective marketing for small business. We discuss core components of a strong marketing strategy, including hiring and systems and building a predictable sales funnel, which we'll have to define again, improving customer experience, and expanding reach without overextending your business. You'll learn why strategic planning matters more than motivation, how to reduce risks as you grow, and how to set meaningful goals that lead to lasting progress. This episode is designed to help small business owners stop reacting and start planning with smart marketing. By the end, you'll have a clear understanding of where growth really comes from and how to build a strategy that supports long-term success. Matt Hanson,
I am here. Let's do this.
how do you become a customer of your own company?
Basically, just go through the whole process, right? So it's interesting because how many people have never done this, right? So, have you called into your business? Have you had somebody on a friend of yours call into the business and ask questions? Like, with you guys, somebody calls in, hey, I own this company, want to talk about advertising. Can you tell me a little bit about it? Right? And you're sitting there listening to the conversation of who they called into. The last podcast we talked about a florist. Have somebody make a phone call to do an order. Hear how that phone call goes, or have somebody go in and be the customer. Like, I walk in the door. How does the building look? Am I greeted as soon as I walk in there? Are there people fighting in the back room? Are there people fighting in the front part of the room? Are they complaining? What is it? Does it look like a mess in there? As I go to order something, do you have a website? Have you gone through and tried to order from your website? Have you put an order all the way through and seen it from point A to point B? So if it says that it's going to ship out today and it doesn't ship for 3 days, that's a problem, right? So I ordered something the other day, said it was going to be there in the next day, if not 2 days. I still have not received it. And, I got a notification today. It'll be there by today. Again, those are all touch points that create either a positive or a negative experience for your customer, and you need to understand those.
So you act as a customer of your own company. So that would mean going and looking at your own Facebook page, your own website, making the call, perhaps hitting the, send me, what happens if I go on a website and I ask for information, I'm a lead, and you get an email on that. So going through the whole thing. So you mentioned the sales funnel. What is that?
Yeah, so we've mentioned the sales funnel plenty of times, but we'll revisit it. So we're trying to generate awareness for our company, which most small companies will have anywhere between 10 and 30% of their customers will know who they are. So just general awareness, and then we try to move you into the consideration set. So, I know who you are. I'm looking for, this type of product or service. You're in that. In marketing, we call it an evoked set. It's a kind of a marketing term that we use, but think of it in terms of, I want something to drink, right? What am I thinking about? Well, there's coffee, there's tea, there's water, there's soda or pop, wherever you're from, in the U.S. There's all these different things that you can drink, and then from there you go. Let's take coffee, for example. You've got Starbucks, you've got Dunkin', you've got McDonald's, you've got things in the grocery store, our friends over at Super Coffee, right? Like, there's all these different things. So, there are a variety of things. So we go from awareness to consideration, and then we go to that, as you call it, close, I call it customer, but trying to get people to buy from us. So we have to understand each and every phase of that. And I've done that pretty elaborate evaluation with different companies in the past, where they'll come to me and they'll say, we have an awareness problem. And I'll go back to them and we'll do a survey and realize, like, people know who you are. They just don't consider you an option. And here's why. And they're like, oh, we thought it was awareness, right? So you have to understand, talking to the customers, trying to understand that. And what you do is, if you go through that and you look at it from awareness to consideration all the way to the customer side of things, at awareness, we realize, like, okay, yeah, people don't know who we are. At consideration, we're not offering something that others are. They just won't consider us. Maybe they buy from us, but they don't return. That's an issue as well. Like, is it bad reviews? Did they not get what they thought they were getting? Was it a one-time purchase, or is this something that we can actually get people to buy over and over and over again? It's kind of like going to a restaurant and eating. I want to try this restaurant, and then you're like, it was okay, but you never see them again. From a person that owns a restaurant, I would want to know, what was it? What was wrong, right? And those are questions that you need to ask at the end of the meal and say, hey, just kind of curious, what did you think about the meal? What did you think about our server? What do you think about the ambiance that we have here? Is there anything that we can change? Constructive criticism. We want to make it better for you. Most people won't do that. They don't want to hear it, right? And it's funny, like, I obviously I'm a professor at Purdue Northwest, and I teach marketing, and we give our students evaluations every single year. I don't control it. Like, I don't know what they're going to say, but I tell every single one of them, please go in there. I want to get 100% of you to do an evaluation, whether it's good or it's bad. I don't really care about the voting, like the ranking of, was this class what you thought it was and all of that. Give me the comments. I won't know who you are, but I want to know exactly what I did right and what I've done wrong. And I've modified my classes based on those evaluations for years, right? I've almost got it perfect. We're still working on a few things because, obviously years change and students change. But from a small business perspective, if you're asking those questions and you're open to hearing it, you can fix the things that are drawing people away. Maybe they're not considering it because of something, or maybe they're not coming back. It's hard to get a customer, and you want to hold on to them when you actually do.
So all of these jobs, all of this work is done by people. Mm-hmm. How do you, A, attract the right people, and B, evaluate if they are in the right position and if they're the person you thought they were going to be?
Yeah, this is timely because this week one of our employees put in his 2 weeks, and it was after I left to do the last podcast. He calls me up and he's like, "Hey, are you around?" And I said, "Yep."
Oh yeah, all right.
So we're walking down to my office, and before I even open the door, I go, "Where are you going?" And he just kind of looks at me. He goes, "Well," and I go, "Come on in. I knew you were leaving." And it's one of those things that's fine, because when we hired him, I said he will not be here in 2 years. He will either go up through the ranks or he'll leave for a better opportunity. And I think what you have to understand is, there's a lot of people out there listening going, "Oh, that sounds horrible." It's not, because I knew I hired the right person for that job. And I knew that if we didn't give him the ability to go up the ranks in the next 2 years, I thought maybe he'd stick around for 2 years. We'd have to get him somewhere else. I knew that he was so talented that he was going to move up. He was going to do bigger things. So we gave him all kinds of different things to do and complete flexibility. And it's funny because I've worked with him for a year. Now, mind you, he's going to a professional hockey team to work. So great opportunity. I wish him the best. But, realize that you hire people that you know are great. And what I tell every employee that I have is literally, you're here today. I don't want you here in 2 years. I don't want you in the same thing that you're doing right now because you're not growing. So when I talk to the people that I work with, my first question is, what do you need from me to do your job? What do you need from me to get where you want to go? I don't tell them to do anything. I don't give them any this is what I want you to do. I literally give them the flexibility to be who they are, and I watch and I learn and I see how they are. Now, there are people that I've worked with that don't take that initiative. They're not doing anything. They're stagnant, right? And that's when you know, okay, I've given you 100% flexibility and all the resources that are at my disposal for you to do great things, and you're still not doing it. That's when you know you don't have the right people. Silence.
No, I thought you were going to continue on. Nope. I know that. I mean, it's always a difficult one for the small to medium sized business, because you're right. I think that in our situations, I mean, you're working in academia and working in marketing, and you take talent and then use them, and then they go on. Mm-hmm. Same thing here.
Yeah,
Adriana here's already interning in the city. I mean, you look up at the Big Ten Network and Barstool and CBS, and they've all, a lot of them have worked here. I mean, I've had dozens of people that come through like that, and that's difficult because you train them and you get them right, and then they leave. How do you deal with that? Because now they're productive.
They're productive, but, they've outgrown kind of the space. They need new challenges, and I think every single one of us needs new challenges every couple of years. We've talked a lot lately about the Muskogee Challenge, like picking one major thing every single year to do. If you're not challenged, you're bored. Right, and I'm the biggest component of that. I get bored, instantly. 2 months into something, I'm just like, oh, this isn't growing fast enough.
I can't see you in a movie.
Can't see me
in a movie that you didn't want to go see, but your wife wanted to go see.
Oh no. Yeah, so
rom-coms. I have to go see rom-coms all the time. What are you laughing about? And I'm sitting there, and all I'm doing is I eat a whole bucket of popcorn because I'm so bored.
Yeah.
And then we're going for dinner. Uh-huh. You go see a rom-com and go to dinner. I mean, oh, my God, the IU's playing. I mean, what are you going to do? So anyways, I'm sorry. It's just an aside of I think that I zing, bang, zoom to different areas. You can do it right there, man. You're like, I'm thinking about this. I'm talking about that. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
But there's a method behind that.
There's a method. The way that I look at the world, and the way that a lot of the companies that I deal with is, there was a mentor of mine years ago that told me one thing. He goes, all you need to do is say no. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, just say the word no. And it didn't make sense to me when I was in my early 30s. I didn't quite get what he was trying to say, but now I completely understand it. If you have goals and you have things that you've outlined, and we've talked a ton about that in this podcast, is defining where you want to be. You set this goal, and again, I've talked about things that I'm working on. I'm not ready to share with everyone yet what I'm working on, but it's coming. We set a goal where we're going to be, and we look at it and we go, all right, let's strip everything away. There's a direct line between A and B, right? 2 points, and I'm going there. Everything else that I'm being asked that doesn't get me to where I want to go should be a no. And that's hard to do, right? So I had a conversation, I think it was yesterday, with a potential client, and they were asking me, oh, you want to do this? And we could really use your help, and we could do this, and, big client. And I'm just like, no, I don't think that's where I want to go. And any other agency would be jumping all over it. And I'm just sitting there going, I don't think it's a fit. I don't see that helping me get to where I want to be literally in 9 months, where I want to be. So I'm getting rid of the risk. I call that risk, right? So if I focus any attention over here on this new project that isn't the goal of what I'm trying to do, it's going to take the energy out of where I'm trying to go, right? So it's like taking the gasoline out of your car as you're trying to get home to where you want to be, right? If I take the gasoline out of it and I put it over here to light this fire, I can't get to where I want to go. So that's when I say pull out the risk of the small businesses. You have goals in mind, and you have to keep them very simplistic, right? Like very simple goal, not this. I want to do this and this and this and this. It's we need to be there in 9 months, or we need to be there in 12 months, or 3 years, or wherever it is, and realize that that's the goal. If I don't hit that, the last 9 months, the last year, the last 3 years has been a waste. And all of this other stuff that's just vying for your time, you need to focus on it. So if small businesses that are very successful, especially in the marketing side of things, are very focused, and they're saying, okay, if it's X number of customers they want to have by the end of the year, that's a number. We got to hit that number, and you continually look at it. So for example, the goal that I have in mind for myself right now is August 1st. That's my deadline. I looked at the date yesterday and I went, oh my goodness, I'm already behind schedule, right? And it's funny because we're still talking about what to do in the new year and all this other stuff. I've already realized I'm behind schedule and I need to move faster, right? And that's what I mean. Reduce all of these things that are kind of sidelining you and taking all your energy, and reduce that risk and get towards where you need to be.
So hire the right people. You're looking for some growth, effective marketing strategies. You got to start with the right people. You got to reduce risk, as just discussed. We talked about the sales funnel. Mm-hmm. Certainly on many of the podcasts, we talk about increasing the satisfaction of the customer experience. And personally, I like to do things in 1s, 3s, 5s, and 10s. So the fifth thing here would be the last thing to talk about on this episode, and that is enter new markets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an interesting one because most people don't think about new markets or new ways to sell, right? So maybe they have a single store, or maybe they're web-based, whatever it may be. But going back to just, my own businesses and different things. So from the agency standpoint, about 2 years ago, we started reaching out to new markets and people that we knew in those markets to sell different services and things like that, right? So my brother, he's in sales in Miami, and we started talking about like, okay, well, let's put you on a commission basis and pulling in kind of this different things down there. I've had local companies that sell, and they're just like, we're just not selling enough. And I said, well, have you ever thought about an e-commerce store? Can we facilitate, can we get 10, 20, 30 different products that you can ship out and get it customized and all this other stuff? People are like, yeah, I never thought about that, right? People that sell on e-commerce, have you ever thought of selling on Amazon or on eBay or any of those types of things? So, we used to do $10,000 a month just on eBay, and it was all return stuff that we got, right? So we would buy it from our wholesaler, and it was stuff that was returned to them, and we'd buy it on pennies on the dollar, and then we'd bring it in and we'd sort it and we'd throw it up on eBay, and we'd sell something that we bought for 10 cents for $10, and it was the greatest thing in the world. We were making a ton of money off of it. Or they would send us these collector catalogs that we would get for free, and we'd get 300 catalogs, and we'd put it up there and catalog for $10, and quantity 300, and they'd sell out instantly, and we'd make a ton of money off of that because nobody wanted the physical catalog or anything in store. It was just collectors that wanted this stuff. So we would look for all these different opportunities, and we would sell this stuff, and we would make money to keep the lights on and all the other stuff based on just garbage that was in a corner at our wholesaler. And they'd be like, yeah, what do you want to pay for it? And I'm 10 cents on the dollar. Okay, great, we'll take it.
So those are the first 5. and I'm going to read them again, and hire the right people, reduce risk, build a sales funnel, increase the customer experience, and enter new markets. That is a map for effective marketing to look for growth. It's only part one of this rather lengthy episode. We'll get to the second part of this, which will be episode 109 in the next one. Thanks a lot, Adriana. Thanks a lot, Matt Hanson. And thanks most of all to you for listening or watching the Mastering Local Marketing Podcast. Until next time, we'll see you later.